Redditors who cook. What's the biggest no-no thing in cooking? Glass cutting boards. Like seriously. Just GTFO. And in a similar vein, dangerously dull knives. I've seen some real bludgeons in other people's kitchens. No wonder they hate prep work. I have a small glass cutting board, but I don't actually use it for cutting. It's next to my stove, and is my designated I need to set this spoon down area, because it's easy to clean. That's all it's good for really. Oh, that's a good idea actually. Chef for 10 years. Here's some good things to keep in mind when cooking at home. 1. Clean as you go. It minimizes clutter and mess and makes everything easier. 2. Sharpen your damn knives. Seriously, dull knives are dangerous as fuck. 3. Blenders are not just for smoothies. Use them for sauces and your life will be changed. 4. Please stack your fridge appropriately so cross-contamination doesn't happen. Veggies and fruit on top. Also eggs is fine. Beef, fish, poultry, chicken juice will contaminate raw veggies so quick. 5. You don't need a fucking knife block. I'm a chef for a living. I butcher 10 to 20 ducks a week and I have 6 knives. Even that is just cause I'm very particular. Your average home chef needs 3 at most. A standard length chef knife, a paring knife, which most home chefs never use from what I've seen, and a medium-sized blade for veggies can be nice. 6. Label and date when you open stuff, and keep it near the front. Keeping it near the front is most important as it helps encourage you to remember. Ah yes, I have this kale that I should use before you open something else. 7. Olive oil can go bad. Lots of people think it can't, but it can. 8. Canned stuff isn't the worst. Just mix it with fresh stuff. 9. Diversify what ingredients you're using. Most Americans and Europeans cook with the same 20 things. Every time you go to the grocery store pick up a new ingredient and try it out. Beets. Amazing. Like mushrooms? Try oyster mushrooms instead of generic shiitakes. Like onions? Grab a leek. Seriously, change it up. 10. Wading into more professional territory, but try some fermentation. Lots of great stuff out there, but I'd recommend kimchi. If you wanna get serious, buy the Noma Guide to Fermentation and actually read it. Best $30 you'll ever spend. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. A standard length chef knife, a paring knife, which most home chefs never use from what I've seen, and a medium-sized blade for veggies can be nice. Serrated knife is also nice if you eat crusty bread. Don't let your baking powder get clumpy. Tiny rocks of baking powder ruin anything you bake. Have done it. Biting into clumps of baking powder sends shivers down my spine. Was your body aching all the time? #MAMUUHHH. #UUUUWWWWUUU. #DIDNT mean to make you cry. Didn't mean to bake you dry. For the love of God, stop mucking about with whatever it is you're cooking. Unless it's something you specifically need to be mixing or stirring constantly, leave it alone. You'll never get proper color on things if they make more contact with your spatula than your pan. This is how I always fuck up pancakes. They are so simple, but for some ungodly reason I have a compulsive need to try to flip them when I know that shit shouldn't be touched yet. Cutting with a dull knife. Get yourself a sharpener, even if it's a cheap one. Nah, just get a new knife and save the dull one for the bathroom. This guy pooped knives. Cranking the heat to reduce the cooking time will leave you with a burnt outside and an underdone inside. I had a roommate once who was doing a recipe with sauteed onions. He was scorching the heck out of them, and I told him that his dish would taste a lot better if he cooled the pan a little and did a nice slow caramelization. He told me he didn't care if it tasted good or not. I still don't know how to respond to that. Why even bother with onions at that point then? Medium rare chicken. Works for steaks, but not for hen. Buffalo Wild Wings seems to think it's okay. Incorrectly storing ingredients. Seriously, you can get ill if you let raw chicken juice drip on your salad in the fridge. Then, cut meat and veg on separate boards. Cross-contamination is such a huge deal in cooking. Like no, you can't cut veg on the same board you just cut a raw steak on. You trying to make everyone sick? Technically you can. If you cut the veggies first, and they are put away, your steak is not gonna get contaminated by onion and pepper juice. Always wear pants while cooking bacon. Or just an apron. Yo, nice Mr. White. Don't rinse your pasta. Pasta should never, ever be rinsed for a warm dish. The starch in the water is what helps the sauce adhere to your pasta. The only time you should ever rinse your pasta is when you are going to use it in a cold dish like a pasta salad, or when you are not going to use it immediately. Everything else I read here seemed like common sense, but I guess I've been doing pasta wrong my whole life. Honestly, you should be adding a bit of that starchy pasta water to most of your sauces. Not seasoning your chicken. Overcooking chicken too. Straight to jail. Undercook fish. Believe it or not, jail. Cooking with extra virgin olive oil over high heat. You sound bitter about this. A dull knife. My parents had no idea all of their knives have been dull for the past decade, until I sharpened them, and they were like, wow, it's like a brand new knife. Do not mix hot cooking oil and cool sink water. I saw a girl burn the hell out of herself because she didn't listen to the home ec teacher. She threw her hot oil in a sink with some cool water running. Boom. Sprayed hot oil all over her arm and neck. Let your oil cool, folks. Why are people pouring oil down the sink in the first place? Don't grab something that is on the stove without a towel or some type of heat protection. Don't combine water and hot oil. If a grease fire starts, don't use water to try to put it out. Salt, a baking sheet, or a dry towel might work. If you don't have a fire extinguisher, don't season a liquid before reducing it. It will become too salty after you reduce it. Don't use a cold pan to sear something. Get the pan hot first. Better sear. Don't use extra virgin olive oil when you're using high heats. It will burn. Don't cut meat immediately after cooking it. More juices will flow out. The meat will become drier. Wait a few minutes. Don't hold an object with your fingers extended when you're cutting it. You're less likely to seriously cut your fingers if you curl your fingers like a claw. Don't use a sharp knife on metal, like a python or steel counter or glass or marble. Don't use a nice knife on anything other than food. A common offense would be opening a food package with it. Don't send a nice knife through a dishwasher. Don't leave a sharp knife in the sink. Don't leave a knife wet. Even ones claiming to be stainless will often rust if left wet. Don't follow a recipe too religiously. If it doesn't taste well to you, don't leave it because you followed the recipe exactly. If a grease fire starts, don't use water to try to put it out. Salt, a baking sheet, or a dry towel might work. If you don't have a fire extinguisher, the pot's lid is the best one. Cooking everything on high because you want it done faster. Do you know my mother? Everyone knows your mother. Learned this the hard way. Don't throw fresh chili peppers into a hot pan unless you want to pepper spray the whole house. Have you ever cooked Indian food? Pepper spray is just part of the experience. Before and after. Never, and I mean never, panic if you start a fire on accident. You need to be calm enough to know if you have to smother it, oil or grease fires, or grab the extinguisher. Panicking can get your house burned down. My mom fell asleep while making fries and woke up to a house full of smoke. She then threw a polyester blanket over the pot full of burning oil, which burned the whole kitchen down. Should have just put a lid on the pot, but now she got a brand new kitchen covered by insurance, lol. Should have just put a lid on the pot, but now she got a brand new kitchen covered by insurance, lol. Sounds like she actually made the right move then. Well, yeah, she only got minor burns, but she cold been seriously injured as well, so a risky move. The minor burns are the perfect cover for what was her plan all along. Cross-contamination with raw chicken or pork. Coming anywhere near my non-stick pan with metal. If you scratch my pan, I will scratch your soul. My brother is really good about this, and then when he washes a non-stick pan you can hear the scratching from the brush against the pan 2 rooms away, and then he wonders why his non-stick pans only last 6 months or so. Taste. As. U-G-O. My raw chicken never tastes very good, but I'm sure I'll find a good bird one day. Don't burn garlic. Microwaving a salad. Of course you don't microwave a salad, you fucking donut. Yeah, you deep fry it in a beer batter. Don't forget to let the ingredients get to know each other. Mr. Onion. This is Mrs. Tomato. Then you push them together to make it look like they're kissing. Guessing at amounts when baking. Baking is science. Cooking is art. Don't burn the ramen plastic accidentally when cooking. Standing in the kitchen when I'm cooking. Get the fuck out. Don't get in my way. And how can I help? He inquired with a smile. He picked up a peeler and played for a while. He hovered. He loitered. He lingered with doubt. I looked at him kindly and whispered, "Get out. Don't try to catch a drop knife. Back away and let it fall." A falling knife has no handle. Someone on Reddit. Probably. A falling knife has no handle. Making a cake then eating the whole thing right after. You need to let it cool down enough before you apply the frosting. Only then can you eat the whole thing alone, by yourself, in the dark. Never put oil in the pot when cooking pasta, as the sauce will just slip and slide away instead of sticking to the pasta.